BBI.
Ni kama bitoka
Haya zungumza.
Umetunyonga?
Pole kama again. Pull up select.
Okay, I like the way Dr. Ojwang has put it. We have lamented for quite a while. We now need to come up with solutions. And he came up with a very good, I am a beneficiary of the Robin Hood stock. So what really happened is these hedge fund managers walikuwa wanafanya kitu inaitwa shorting. So they look at those businesses that are dying, their stock are going down, and then they give them a raw deal. So you know the tectonics of economics is supply and demand. So when people saw that, they said, okay, munajifanya munajua. So these people came in and started buying this stock. And you know the economics say that when the demand is high, the supply iko chini, the price goes high. Unaona? And that is how they ballooned the price. When they ballooned the price, these people came back because the art of shorting is you take a stock on a loan and then wait for that stock to fall down and then come back, sell that stock at a profit and return the money. Wow. So by the time they were returning that money, they were losing because these people had short the stock high and they were supposed to pay the price. So they were losing money. So that's why Ulipata hedge funds, those rich people were crying that they're losing money. And they went to the SEC. SEC told, no, it's a fair game. These guys are scoring in a fair manner. Na VR ikaangalia ikaona hakuna makosa. But now they went around na wakaangalia wakaanza sasa kuumiza hao watu wenye walikuwa na run hiyo biashara because a lot of hedge funds managers lost a lot of money. The car grant thing is, I've still said, in Kenya the politics is the same. Right? It is the same thing wananchi are being it's the same way wananchi are being lured. Sai enda Kabuchai, money is being poured left, right and center because there's a by-election. Enda Matungu, that is the same thing. People will eat. Even the president said when there was a by-election in Kibera that somebody called him and told him how the business was booming when elections were. That is the trend of the game. What I'm saying right now, the same way the Robin Hood actually walichapa Wall Street, is the same thing that we need as individuals, as Kenyans, to come up with a solution. What is our fallback plan? Because we will get rid of Uhuru, comes another person and atufanyia the same thing, get rid of him, tunaenda hivyo. We are not growing young, we are growing old. Where is our generation going to? Right now, look at recruitments. I am telling you, I usually associate with Baringo because I've lived in Baringo for the better part of my life. Recruitment, unajua, when I used to live in Baringo, people never used to go for recruitment ya police AP. They used to go to ya jeshi peke yake because they assumed that was a better kind of recruitment. Siku hizi hata NYS, you find more than 10,000 youths. Wanasemanga hata, yani, when people are going for recruitment, inajaa kushinda hata rally ya KANU. Unaona? So, most
do you have to use KANU?
No, it's a saying. Me uona kwa mtandao. Unaona? So my biggest problem, when I look at those people going to look for those jobs, now unapata 6,000 people are only looking for 10 recruitment posts. All those people have children. All those children have fathers who are supposed to feed them. That is a generation. Where is it going to? So when I see the whatever these people being given car grant, it is the same system. They are using the same. That is why I say, why don't they say atutaki car grant to make a BBI, atutaki BBI, but they can be lured now. That is why this quinine will just be drained down our throats, tupende tusipende, and the system is the same. Unajua tukifanya Robin Hood Kenya saizi, watu watapiga tu rivers huko nyuma, na they take charge of the system, na watupige nje. So if the system is not tangible enough, then even an alternative is just useless.
Okay. All right. I'll take you to Kip alafu we go to Arama. Kip. Tunakunywa kama queen.
Yes, I think I think Kipicho said it well. Whether you like it or not, I know Lucia doesn't like it. She said she'll form it. We will wait and see. But it looks like just like they did with Huduma number. You all screamed and wailed, and guess what? You took it. I'm the only Kenyan who didn't take Huduma number, and I'm very proud of that.
Hata mimi sina.
Oh, well.
Mimi niko na slip, poleni kidogo, niko na slip.
Remember also they also forced us to change the passport. They've been moving deadlines every year. I guess next time it will be after 2022. But I understand, of course, that's something that's globally, mandated, and I understand the reasons for that. But that aside, I mean, you see the Kenyan government keep changing. Now, when it comes to car grants, I think I'm from a different school of thought. Now, I think for me, I give credit where it's due, and you give people what they deserve. Members of parliament, they get car grants. They are serving the people if they were really serving the people, quote unquote. Now, MCS also deserve car grants, but the way it was given is questionable. These are the people who actually interact with normal mwananchi on the ground. They actually need a car more than a member of parliament. Member of parliament is getting 7 million every year. I wonder these cars in Aripika every year. I've owned mine for the last 3 years, so I don't get it. Now, when it comes to this one of MCS, I hear it's 2 million, and it looks like it's going to be every year. Now, that's 10 million. We have a lot of kids who are not going to school from poor families. That 2 million would put school 100 kids every year. I think if I was an MCA from somewhere in Kenya, that would be the money. I would put it somewhere else. You have to be creative when it comes to this government. I'm sure these MCAs already have cars. Yes, it's good to have something that supports your job. It's what your duty calls. But I think the way the president pushed it to Kenyans, or used that as a bait, we should not be doing baiting anymore. If really, like Lucia said, this BBI is something good, even I, Kipchumba, would be running around telling Kenyans, let's vote for this thing to pass. It looks like it stinks from afar, even here in diaspora. We smell it.
Okay. All right. Arama?
Yes.
The MCAs are running over their feet to approve the document without even public participation, without any formal protocol.
Let me try and look at it from the bright side. Maybe they are deliberately sabotaging the whole thing, because then somebody will go to court and challenge and say there was no public participation, therefore no referendum. That's my school of thought.
Could be. Ojwang will take us in the legal.
Ebu prepare your petition kwa kotini alafu tupe ikitu nje before it goes anywhere. But it's indicative of who we are. Yeah? Because I saw somebody took a screenshot of all the county assemblies in central Kenya. Every one of them has put a gazette notice of public participation for 2 days. So theoretically, they are meeting the requirement. And by this trend, tumepiga kelele sana, itafika siku ya kura watu waseme, hata hii kitu nimechoka, wanatulazimisha tu siendi kupiga kura. I hope not. But that's a possibility based on what we are seeing now. But we as the people have to decide what we want. And I remember growing up, in our place, it rained. Nowadays it doesn't, but it used to rain from January to December. Every day was rain. But then in Afika Mahali, I remember we had tea leaves. And our tea leaves ilikuwa inapelekwa Kericho kwa tea factory. You know what we used to do? We used to escort the rolling with tea leaves all the way to the main road kwa Lambi. Unachimba mtaro, unakwamua roli mpaka ifike kwa barabara, because we knew that's the source of income. So until us as Kenyans decide this is our country and we want our country to move in a certain direction, and we put our hands into it and say, you know what, wewe MCA ulipewa grant yako ya milioni 2, okay, next time we don't want you, we'll put somebody else. And we are giving you a warning. If you don't do one, give all these politicians a social contract. If you do this, we are going to return you, no question. If you don't, we will get you out. And there is one thing that I cry every day that we have not used, that we have a provision for. It is called a recall. We don't have to wait for their full term. Recall these people out quickly, and you will see how fast they are going to act and do what they are supposed to do. But until we make it personal, I said my theory is when we will start, mutaanza kununua shukari kilo moja 2,000, maybe then you will stand up and say, hey, enough is enough. And run and challenge things. We have been brought to that position in so many other instances. Moi's regime, people went on the streets. When we wanted the new constitution, people came out in large numbers and said, this is what we want. This thing has a good hope for us. Let's go ahead and make those changes. Now is the reverse. We are trying to make some amendments that there is no benefit, there is no upside of the whole document. So maybe it's time now to teach everybody a lesson and say, you know what? We don't want this. And even you who is opposing it, if you're just opposing to get political mileage, guess what? We are not going to elect you back into office with this kind of nonsense. If we get to that position and hold people accountable, then we'll be in a better place. But as long as we continue accepting the 50 shillings sukari, because, I was talking about the funeral in Kisii, and I said, the people who are yelling and heckling other people, wewe mwanaume mzima ama mama mzima ulitoka kwako nyumbani ukavaa suti yako ile ya whatever how many years clean, nguo yako ya kanisa ati unaenda matanga kwa mtu to go and yell at somebody else because somebody gave you 500 shillings. And I ask myself, are you worth only 500 shillings? Your entire day, is that how much you are worth? If we get to a place where you value yourself and say, hey boss, hiyo 500 umenipatia, hata sitoki, I will go. If I'm supposed to come there so that I can get my 500, I will show up. I get my 500 and I go back home. Mimi 500 yangu nimeweka kwa mfuko because you are giving me 500, wewe ulipewa more than that, which means you're going to give more money to yourself. We get to that position where we stand up for what is right. Then we'll have a better country.
Okay.
But as long as we continue with this normal process, like Robert said, itakuwa tu changing every time. Unaenda unanunua spare tire ambayo ni used tire, una drive 20 kilometers, then unanunua ingine. Same thing. You don't learn. Instead of going and buy a brand new tire and put it so that it can take you longer, you keep on spending small money. By the end of it all, you spend 3 times the price you could have bought a brand new tire that would have lasted you for a longer time. Okay. That's my view. And Kenyans, like Ojwang said, we need to start coming up with solutions. And I'm just going to throw a challenge to you, Bitok. You can get maybe Murkomen and Orengo to this group. We challenge.
I can pull them. I can pull them in. I can pull them in anytime.
Yeah, from both sides. Let's bring them here and challenge, because I have questions to them. You know, Orengo, we respect you, but what have you done for us? What have you done for the people to improve people's lives, and what legislation have you passed that will help us? You warn other people about government eating its own people, but now when you are given a chance to make a difference, you forgot about the same advice you gave to other people. So we need to bring these people here and make them see, we see what you're doing and you need to change it.
He's now eating the government.
He's now eating with the government.
Eating the whole government. The whole government. All right, lastly, guys, there's been conversation that we've been having, and it's quite interesting that even this conversation is coming up in diaspora, because I think there's no difference with what we're having today here as the Hustler narrative and the Robin Hood movement back in the US. And there's someone who has made a comment, who says the story in the US of hustlers who ganged up on Tinder and stock-shorted game shop hedge funds. Quite interesting. So, I mean, there's the issue of bottom-up economics and top-bottom economics, the things that we have in our conference. And these are some of the topics that been given by the diaspora guys. Bottom-up economics or top-down economics, which one actually works? I mean, we've talked about the big people for a long time. Like, let's work on the top, then the downside will fix itself. Is it time we started talking about the bottom and, the bottom fixing the up? Ojwa, since you have become a proponent of Robin Hood revolution.
Right, Robin Hood is somebody, a character I like, just like I like Fanon for two and all those people who are led change from the bottom.
And just to put more perspective into it, you've talked about the reaction from the U.S. government on the on the Robin Hood thing. You're saying that they are saying, guys, I mean, we need to term this even at the Congress. Even right now, when you're having that conversation, even that you're having that conversation back in the country, they're saying this is divisive. We need to make it illegal. The poor people should not know that they're poor. I mean, is bottom economics divisive?
Yeah, it is a narrative they cannot control. Therefore, it's scary, and that's what what gives you an anxiety. When people have class consciousness, they become dangerous. When somebody realizes, by the way, I'm not doing so good. No, it's true that they have been taking from me a little here and a little there, because that forces you to do something. And so what we are having is not even a language war, but a real war of hiding in language, that the poor and those who have been downtrodden and those who have been left behind, because the whole human right has been about emancipation, about articulating your right and articulating that, you know what, you cannot ignore me. Human right abuse take place in invisibility. Once I've made you invisible, then I control the narrative. Then you are not there. You don't exist. And so if we don't talk about the poor, they don't exist. But if we talk about the poor, leave alone the poor is demanding talk about me, then we cannot ignore them, and that is not a situation we want to be. And I think that that is why others have even mounted criminalizing those words, like hustler. And this is a political problem, but when the only tool you have is hammer, everything become a nail. So let us criminalize them. Nobody can talk about it. But I think that the revolution of a better, or articulation of a better world where, as Ayela was saying, Africa is rising, who is rising?
It's rising for who?
Yes, for whom? Development cannot just be infrastructure, mall and whatever, yet we don't have money to spend in those malls. We don't have money to run on those roads. If today there was a tender talk in your village, it will require somebody to come with a warranty or a letter of credit worth 100 million. How many people can show that? So all this development and this project are only done by a few people. Will it be robbery if you came to Homa Bay, my place, and said everybody put money for 1 kilometer of a road? Then we can, now I don't look for 100 million, I look for 1 million or whatever, and we all build 1 kilometer, then I get 1.5 million. Do you know what you will have done for me in that village? At the end of the day, I will not have just remained with the road, but the money has remained in the village. That means I have money to build a house in that village. I can put a car on that road. I can have money to run on that tarmac. But what do we have? It is infrastructure. The money goes to India. The money goes to China. The money goes to a few people in Nairobi. Whenever tender is called, it is fait accompli. You know that the people who have tender are people who can afford 100 million. How many people can afford 100 million? Then why can't we break it? And by the way, these are not things I'm shooting from the hip. Britain went as far as changing their laws so that in Britain people can pull together for tenders. Almost the Robin Hood ideas. You can say we can have 100 people to say let us put small money and we get this tender and do it. It doesn't have to be one big fat cut that can afford it. We can all put it. Now, when you are asking me the bottom up is the way to go. Because you see, sometimes the person who abuses us is the person who gives us those words. Fourth revolution. Africa rising. After they have abused you so that you can sleep through the abuse, it is a lullaby, isn't it?
So I feel good about your side.
Yes. Oh, Africa
it's a feel-good effect.
Africa, our GDP. I remember the reason Obama beat McCain was, as McCain was looking at those numbers, Obama simply said, ask Americans, is the economy good? And all of them, or most of them, said, The reality is, it's not. Because, I mean, I forget your numbers. What am I feeling? When I go to a supermarket with 5,000, am I getting more into the basket or less? When I go and buy gas for 100 or for 1,000, how far do I go? So it does not matter the spin. It does not matter. By the way, all these big companies that cite us and we are so excited, World Bank and whatever, World Bank rose from University of Chicago, the thinkers. World Bank, who is World Bank enriching? Is it the poor country or the rich countries? Who is IMF really enriching? Is it the poor country or the rich countries? It is actually the rich that are getting rich. So there is horizontal and vertical inequality that we must be addressed. Finally, I think when I look at what is happening in Kenya, you know, there is a time Mutua used to give us T-shirts and tell us, I'm proud of being a Kenyan. But by the time you are asking me to adore in Kenyan flag, the flag is not in my heart. And you have, the society is one conspiracy against me. You are simply trying to underrate my intelligence. So before you tell me fellow Kenyans, Kwanzaa, I don't like that word with politicians. We are not fellow. We are not on the same boat. We are on two different boats. One boat is riding us to destruction. I am on another boat where I'm suffering. You are, so there is no fellow Kenyans.
We are not fellows.
You talk to the fellow. But let me finish by reminding you of a very important poem if you missed your education.
What are you trying to suggest?
If the key word is if. The poem of Building the Nation. Remember it. We had cited it before I listened.
Yes.
Today I did my share in Building the Nation. I drove a PS to an important urgent function. In fact, a luncheon at the Vic. The menu reflected its importance. Cold beer with small talk, then fried chicken with niceties, wine to fill the hollowness of the laughs, ice cream to cover the stereotype jokes, coffee to keep the PS awake on return journey. I drove the permanent secretary back. He yawned many times in the back of the car. Did you have any lunch, friend? I replied, looking straight ahead and secretly smiling at his belated concern that I had not, but was smiling. Upon which he said with a seriousness that amused more than annoyed me, Mwananchi, I too had none. I attended no matter to matter of state, highly delicate diplomatic duties, you know. And friend, it goes against my grain, causes my stomach ulcers and wind. Ah, he continued, yawning again, the pain we suffer in building the nation. So the PS had ulcers too. My ulcers, I think, are equally painful. Only they are caused by hunger, not sumptuous lunches. So two nation builders arrived home this evening with terrible stomach pain, the result of building the nation. We live in two societies. We live in a society where there is a conspiracy. It's about others, and the middle class is shrinking. And this is where I talk to doctors, lawyers, lecturers, teachers. You think you are too smart to go to the street. So you are waiting for crazy people from Kibera, right? Crazy people from Mathare, a little bit of Ayela, she doesn't mind being exposed to do the work for you. No wonder you sign those CBOs and they are
nobody honors
they are like tissue paper. No wonder you will treat us without PPO or whatever, without mask. You will treat us because you have not stood for the right thing. You have been quiet. When things are going bad, you are quiet. You only go negotiate within your professional corner. People have known it doesn't matter. They can trash it. They have known I need MCS. I need to give them car grant. I don't need a doctor. After all, they are not going to mobilize beyond a few press conferences and say, Kenyans, you need to now take on the government. How can a patient strike? They are saying that it is Kenyans now to mobilize. Are you inciting a patient with to go
to strike for you?
You are also a Kenyan. Why can't you demonstrate They have not demonstrated. So my challenge is this, and I'm not saying this to demean professions. I'm saying this to say that true revolution, we kick the can to the next person because you don't want to pick it and put it in the trash. The doctors kick the can, the lecturers kick the can, everybody kick the can. We laugh about it, we see it in social media, we wait for a better day, we bury our head in the sand. We must take responsibility and say, this is our country, we are in two different boats, with one leading us to disaster, and you're not going to do it without our permission. Thank you.
All right. Wow, that's very powerful. Lucia.
On the bottom-up approach, I think it's long overdue. It's the best way of governance, but my people perish for lack of knowledge. I'm looking forward to a time when residents of Kariobangi South will wake up one day and go meet a person and say, we've seen you doing this, we've seen your character, we've seen your performance track record, and now we want you to represent us, you know, rather than waiting for someone to come from somewhere and then come and tell you, oh, so you guys, I have seen your suffering, I now want to represent you. It needs to happen the other way around. We are the ones who need to start picking our leaders. I hear Kenyans speaking, and it's people who kind of know what they want, you know. It's just that when it comes to applying it, then
That's where the problem comes in.
That's where the problem comes in, you know. We forget very quickly. We are politically hypnotized. We like I said the other day, we don't have a vision. So what is it that we are really, really working towards? For now, I think we need to work towards our economy. You know, the manufacturing sector has to thrive. The private sector basically has to thrive. And in order for this to happen, policies have to be reviewed. You know, they have to be business friendly. And instead of our legislators just out here making noise, I really wish they would have sat down and just done this. Because if MCAs can get 4 billion car grant, you know, 4.5 billion car grant within days, then it's possible for these policies to be done within. It's possible for these people to do anything in a very short time. They just don't want to do it. And, you know, it's high time we as Kenyans. Daktari said something here. If someone was to tell you, give me your money so that I can build a kilometer of tarmac road. We actually give government our money so that they can do this in terms of taxes. This is why we pay taxes, you know. We work so hard to pay these taxes so that we can have infrastructure and the economy can thrive, but then they just don't use the taxes the way they're supposed to be using. Sahi Gerald, nikikunyang'anya do yako hapa sahi, nikikuibia, najua unaweza ninyorosha hapa vibaya sana. It won't even matter that I'm a woman. Ata sahi human rights you're not thinking about, you've been violated. That's the same kind of violation that we are going through right now, because government is stealing from us. The people we elected to represent our interests are stealing from us. And not only are they stealing our money, they're stealing our dignity. And that is the saddest part. Because as a human being without dignity, what are you?
Nothing. Zero. Nada. We go back to diaspora as we wind up. I'll start all the way right up from Robert Kobe to Kip, and then we close it with Joel Arama.
I think the panelists have actually talked something that is actually something that people should actually listen very well and understand. You know, when I look at Kenya and I look at other countries, when people talk about bottom up, down, left, right, center, whatever economics, it can never work in Kenya. Even the people vouching for bottom up economics right now, it can never work for them. The people who are actually sitting pretty right now are benefiting from the system. The people who want to take the system want to benefit on the system. And Dr. has really said it very well. If people pull a Robin Hood, whereby they bring up resources together to actually perform a certain contract that the government is giving, the next day, KRA will be all over your houses. taxing you on everything, imagining that you've been making millions. And that is how people have been deprived what they can actually do, because the system is not fair, And when we're doing any economic undertaking, the level ground should be fair enough, so that if it's a bottom up, it is a way whereby I can sell mandazis today, make that profit, buy kokoteni, and then the next thing it's a pikipiki as I go up. But the moment kwanza Wakenya wanachuki, we kwanza ukiomoka kidogo, we ni Illuminati, because we don't love ourselves. We should have a self-conviction whereby if I see Lucia going ahead, nisianze kusema, oh, Lucia, hiyo sura amesmailia watu wengine. No, we should be willing to push each other. But the problem with us is when we start that bottom up, we have the system has literally put up so much law that kuwa tajiri ni makosa. When you want to do something, nobody is willing to help you to do that kind of a thing, because they feel like you're not on the right. It is not normal. It is abnormal for you to be where you are. And literally right now, even people who are down there economically, if they do anything, nobody will believe that it's sheer hard work. They always believe that you've had a leeway through somewhere to actually achieve what you're getting. So for me, I think that our leaders are lying to us. They need to set policies that can actually give us a well-leveled playing ground, whereby if I want to do X, I'm in a position to do it, not because I need somebody to help me do it, but because my ability can make me do it. That is the only thing. In Kenya, if I want to open up a company right now, even the offices where you go open whatever the company, whatever, kuna brokers. I wonder how, yani ama broker wamesimama kunikulia. So unaanzia broker from ground mpaka kwa ofisi. Huyo hata nakudumia bado ni broker. So there is nothing that is so willing to help us. There's nothing that is down there that is going to give us a will to actually do what we really want to do. So for me, I think the politicians, whoever they are, they should now set an example, giving us policies that can actually give us something that can propel us to actually do what we feel that it's going to springboard us up.
Okay. All right. Very quickly, keep. Wakati imeenda sana, please.
Yes, I will shorten mine. Let's look at statistics. How many people are employed by big companies in Kenya? And what does the big companies in Kenya get from the Kenyan government, especially the taxman? They get subsidies. They get tax breaks. But nobody follows them and asks them, after these tax breaks, how many people did you employ? Some of these big companies are foreign owned. They get the profits from the Kenyan people, and then they ship the money to some islands somewhere where you cannot follow them, or they go back to China or America or the Britain. The problem of the top bottom is the owners or the people who own these things are not Kenyans. And if they are Kenyans, they are well connected, politicians, 2 or 3 former presidents and the presidents, and that's the problem. So if we do the bottom up, now you cannot achieve the bottom up unless you fix few things. One, like Mr. Robert was saying, if I'm going to register a company, the office that I'm approaching or I'm going is one-stop shop, like Huduma Center. The problem is there are brokers there. If I was to go today to Huduma Center, I would be parting with some money here. If I was to go there or even apply online, in this country you register a business online. If you do that, you have empowered the people. You can only build an economy with empowered populace. And what does empowered populace look like? They are well informed. They know their rights. They don't beg nobody. They have money to spend and build and expand their businesses. People who have, know what they need to do to expand the business. You provide also trainings and some short courses, or even if you're doing, say, agriculture business, I remember when we were growing up, there were these agriculture officers coming to teach people how to do good farming. We don't have that anymore. How are you then gonna build bottom-up economics if you cannot empower that through teaching of a best practice?
Okay. All right. Arama, quickly.
I think it's the same theme, is provide people opportunity. I will just give a quick analogy of the story of, people giving what we call conditioning therapy or conditioning behavior. Monkeys were put in one room. There was a ladder, some bananas on top. When the first one went to pick up the monkeys, guys came in, beat up all the monkeys. They did that like 2 or 3 times. Now, every time they will bring a new monkey and take out some. If one of the monkeys goes up, the rest of them will beat that one monkey and bring it down so that it doesn't go up. I'm saying that to say that we are so conditioned to not build each other up, and we are so conditioned to make sure that you fail, and then we are happy about it. I read the story the other day of this young lady who has decided to recycle plastics and make building materials. And I'm like, whoa, where was this person when I was building a house? I would have used this. I'm not sure whether she's going to, grow this business to make it whereby building material is more accessible to people and at cheaper price, and at the same time save the environment and get rid of all this waste that is just lying everywhere. So instead, those are the people now the government should be channeling the money to, instead of giving these useless grants to MCAs. Channel this money to this person, because they are going to employ people. So that take the same concept and build plants and factories in every county.
Okay.
So that they can do the same building materials in every county. You employ people, people have businesses, people who can know how to use that material to build, you train them. It's a chain reaction. That is the only way we are going to make it this bottom up. Is the right idea, is the right process, but for it to work, we have to put systems and processes in place to move forward.
We must
and to
have
be able
that.
to grow.
All right, thank
And
you.
also look outside. Let's not just think about our own, within Kenya. Also, we need to expand outside the country, then build more opportunities. Kama mchina anakuja Kenya, anakuja kuuza samaki kwa jameni, na Ojwang ako na samaki Kisumu. What is that? Yeah? We need to be selling that samaki to China also. So those are the things to me I need to consider. So.
All right, thank you so much.
Ojwang alibaki na swimming pool.
Yeah, wamebaki na swimming pool. Ongera watu wa Kisumu, wamebaki na swimming pool na samaki ya China. Yesu ni Bwana. Mungu ni mwema. Watu wa diaspora, asante sana. Thank you so much for joining us again on this edition of the Diaspora edition. Asante sana. Thank you, Robert Kobe. Thank you, Joel Arama. Chema, asante sana. Keep. We really appreciate you to see you again next week on the next edition of Diaspora edition. Very quickly, studio, Lucia Ayala, your tackle of the day.
My tackle of the day. There is no Messiah that's coming to solve our problems, especially for young people. And keeping quiet is not helping anybody. When you keep quiet, you're actually enabling the oppressor because they count on you not speaking up. It's important for us to start making our voice heard. If we all speak up, it's going to be extremely difficult to ignore us. Even in history, the people who have delivered nations were young people. It never came from the older generation. Their ancestors, their fossils, they are done. Kazi yenye wamebaki nao ni kwenda kukunywa uji. Let's please make sure they are sitting where they are supposed to be sitting and taking a cup of porridge. Tusiwarudishe kwa hizi viti. Please, I'm just asking all people, exercise your right to vote. Let's just do this. Like, it's enough is enough. Hatuwezi endelea kuishi hivi. We cannot allow this to continue. We will not wake up 25 years from now to find our children struggling with the same things that our grandparents struggled with. It's enough.
All right, Ojwang, your tackle of the day.
The word for 2017, the word for the year was the youth quake, a significant cultural, political, social change arising from actions or influence of young people. It is this youth quake movement that actually ushered in the first president of the United States, who is black, Obama. And so It can be done. You know, somebody said many people know the right thing, but only a few do the right thing. I think that pity party should be over. People should grab themselves, youths, women, poor people, middle-class people should refuse to be a footnote in this country and say we must be the main document, not a footnote. And as Ayela said, the solution is not going to come from politicians. If they are the problem, they cannot be solution. The solution is not going to come only from prayers. You know, we always pray for our leaders to get wiser. They never get wise, as you have seen. So why don't you pray for that young person who has depression so that they get out of depression and help their country and help themselves? Why don't you pray for a show like this instead of wasting your time praying for leaders to get clarity and things get more darker and darker? We can change it. People have moved from this condition to the best. I think, you know, you have heard the story of the wise man who was given a butterfly by this young guy trying to trap him and ask him, wise man, all wise, is this butterfly alive or dead? And not to ignore the wisdom of the old. Is it alive or dead? And the young man's plan was, if he say it is alive, he will squeeze it to death. If he says it is dead, he will let it fly. The wise man told the young man, it is all in your hands. Wow. If you want it to live, it will live. If you want it to die, it will die. Kenya is in our hands.
Wow, that's very profound. Kenya is in our hands. If we want it to die, it will die. If we want it to live, it will live. This is the tackle, and the tackle ends now. Bye-bye, and see you tomorrow.